While you were telling that story, you wouldn't be able to hear it, and listeners wouldn't obviously be able to hear it, but I could. I could hear all of my producers who are behind glass in a like padded room or a soundproof room or whatever, all gasp so loud at those examples that you just gave that I could even hear it through the padded
Yeah.
wall. I mean, because it's that shocking, I think,
Yeah.
to people. And people think that, these are just like myths and legends and folklore, essentially, that pro-life people make up, to paint the pro-abortion lobby a certain way. But you were an employee, you were pro-choice, and you were working there. And those were your real experiences of things that your boss was saying to you. So.
Yeah, I think like, the jokes that we used to say, like, like calling the um the freezer that we kept the babies in, like calling that the nursery, our code to get into the building was 2229 because that spelled out baby. Like that kind of stuff, like people are like, ugh, like that's gross. Like it's like macabre, it's like
It is
this
macabre, yeah.
really like dark humor. But I tell people, I'm like, that's nothing. I mean, like, that's nothing. Like you should have heard the stuff that came out of people's mouths. Like it's gross. Like, I mean, and it's so much darker and like so much more demonic than people could ever imagine. I remember the first time, one of the, like, it's probably my first week working at the clinic. We had this guy that worked there. His name was Aaron, and he didn't work there actually very long, but he told me, he was like, Abby, he was like, don't ever come up here at night by yourself. And I was like, why? And he was like, because girl, I swear to God, you can hear babies crying in the hallway.
Stop.
And I was like,
and he was serious?
Yeah, he was dead serious.
What did you think in the moment? Did you think like, yeah, like I can believe that? Or were you like, no way?
I mean, I was like, okay. I mean, I was like, okay, that's weird.
But in a pro-choice, like go back to pro-life Abby Johnson. Okay, this is before. In that moment, did that like resonate with you? Like, okay, if what we're doing is not killing human beings, why would there be, someone saying that you could hear sounds of baby crying at night in the hallway? Like, did any of that click? Like, we're ending the lives of human beings at all?
I mean, I just remember thinking like, well, that's weird, but I think Alex, like okay, first of all, like everybody needs to remember I'd already had an abortion by that time. Okay. So I was already like neck deep in like denial of like the human person of an unborn child. Right. So I was already like super in denial of that. Like, I mean, and so I think for me, I think I didn't want to believe stuff like that was true. I was like, okay, Aaron, like whatever.
Because
weirdo.
If you were to admit that an unborn baby
what am I having to admit?
Yes,
then I'm having to admit
yeah,
that I killed my own child. Right. And I think that's why so many people are pro-choice right now. I think that's why so many women are pro-choice. Because, 1 in 3 women have had an abortion in our country. So depending on the stat you look at, 1 in 3, 1 in 4, it's still a lot. So that's so many women who have walked down that road, who have laid on that table, right? And so if they come around to the idea that abortion is wrong, that abortion is, taking the life of a human being, then what are they having to admit, right? They're having to admit that they took the life of their own child. Like that is a big responsibility. That's a big burden. So it's a lot easier to be like, nah, it wasn't really a life.